Can you hear me, Bishop?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Let's give a mic check for Dr. Sharice. She's in studio. We want to give a mic check to Dr. Sharice.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bishop. Give a mic check.
Check. 1, 2, 3. Check. Microphone check.
All right. Just stand by for me. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Bishop?
I can hear you on my end.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to get this. Okay. Yeah, I think she probably heard both of us, so she should be coming to us shortly.
Okay.
Beautiful morning, everybody. Thank you so much for turning us on and tuning in. Oh, Lord, y'all worked me hard this morning. Price Break 2025 going down August 9th. NASA Cruise Board. Pastor Shirley Season, the rest of the crew. Get your tickets now. Let's go into the Zoom room. Morning break, taking a break, and I'm swinging the baton in the hands of Morning Grace, Amb.Glen. P. Roll is P for Pedro, or is P for Paul?
You know what? I'm going to restrain myself because, you calling those folks who call and giving them all kind of nice name and stuff like that. And then when it comes to me, you're going to act as if you don't even know my name. What's going on? They wake you that high?
Peter, Wally worked me really hard this morning with that trivia. Lord have mercy.
Listen, I have the professor on the page and he'll introduce himself shortly, but here's what I'm thinking, Dr. Sharice. Professor, this is Dr. Sharice. She is in studio. She wakes up the country literally at 5 a.m. in prayer. Then she puts on her teacher hat and shares stories and have people to call in. Let me ask you this, Professor. If all the students fail, who should you blame, the teacher or the students?
The students, man, don't do it. So let me hear you. Dr.
Professor, she had
you don't want to drag me into this.
I am trying to find out from the professor, so, because she had people calling in. Dr. Sharice, did anybody get the right answer this morning?
Yeah, finally I had to do otherwise to get a winner.
Or you had to change your exams?
Yeah, I did do otherwise. I was getting a winner this morning.
I was trying to cheat. I was trying to see if I could replay and see if I could find some of those songs or look at the flyer and hopefully give a wild guess, but I wasn't able to do that. So somebody did win the concert ticket.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Oh, that is good. That is good. That is good.
I didn't get I didn't get a correct answer from anybody. There were there should have been 3 correct answers. Persons gave 2 correct answers or 1. And so I had to shift on them, read my story, and then ask them to give me a title to the story. And so I was able to find somebody who gave something fitting. And that's a person, the first mail caller for the morning. And he was so excited that he won those pair of tickets for the concert.
I hear him praising the Lord, right? So Professor, we're going to introduce you in a little while, but this is why I wanted you to find out whether it's the teacher or the students, right? Because after no one could answer the 3 questions, she wanted an answer for 2.5. So she didn't even consider making it doable for somebody to answer. Dr. Sharice, I'm going to pray for you, man.
I made it doable at 2.5, and they still were close, You know, so I had to shift the exam. Yeah.
I'm going to appreciate you. Good morning to you. I trust you had a great night and looking forward to the praise-a-thon. Shirley Caesar. Did you see the photo I sent you?
I'll take a look at it. Yeah,
I
I
said,
yeah, I saw that with you were you all in an airport somewhere where you took the photo?
no, I was in a conference in Orlando. As a matter
Oh,
of fact, that's Calvary. She was a part of the Calvary Fellowship.
okay.
And so we took a photo there. That was a couple of years back.
Yeah.
Kelson Miller and those attend that conference. They were there just a few days ago as well. So
Okay,
that,
okay.
that's where I met her. Well, we look forward to an interesting conversation today, Doc. You want to guess where this gentleman is from?
Uh, I'm guessing.
Give me your name first, sir.
Let me call the first name and then you can pick up on the last name. Dr. Madison, what? Finish it, Doc.
Gafisen.
Oh, gee.
So pretend as though the first N is silent. So it's
Uh-huh.
like Gafisen.
All right. Dr. Madison Guffeyson.
Correct. You got it right.
You should listen to what name she called on Thursday. I said she speaks in tongue when she calling those names. So I was happy that she at least made it easy for me, you know. I would normally just say bishop or professor, you know, to keep it in my space.
Dr. Madison Guffeyson. Repeat after me, Ga.
Guy.
I'm the teacher and you the student. Guffeyson.
Gaffy son.
Yes.
Gaffy
Yeah.
son.
So you see, she just proved that anytime the student doesn't get it right, it is not the professor. So she just made my point. And so I'm not the one who said it, but it was demonstrated. So
You throw me right under the bus, man. Well, she does such a great job, and we appreciate that. And Professor, we appreciate you equally taking the time to come and conversate with us. Good morning, everybody. This is Inspiration 107.9 FM, Morning Grace. And Dr. Sharice, I did not realize that I was continuing the conversation from yesterday through another vessel, but in a lot of ways I am.
He sounds like he's from Trinidad. You asked me to guess. Is he
Yeah,
as well?
give a guess.
Is he from Trinidad?
No, but the gentleman yesterday you told me correctly wasn't from Trinidad.
Okay, well, where is he from? UK? You want me to go back to Ghana?
Try again, you're getting there.
Is he from Kenya?
Bishop, correct.
Uh,
so
sure.
I am originally from Cameroon in Central Africa.
Cameroon.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Say that, Pastor Glenn. Cameroon.
Cameroon. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. So
Okay. Wonderful. Thank
so
you. You got it now.
thank you so much. So we're gonna have a triangle conversation this morning. The Caribbean, America, Africa, and we're gonna see where we land for the next few minutes on our conversation here. And Bishop, we're truly grateful that you took the time out to come and engage us. This has been a long time coming. I'm almost what, a year, 2 years?
Yeah, you're right. It's been some time. I think at least more than a year.
Yeah, it's been more than a year. We've been back and forth. I think you would have made a couple mission trips since then, and you will get to share that with us. But take a minute, introduce yourself to the Inspiration 107.9 family, our listening audience here in the Bahamas.
Great. Thank you so much for having me, Bishop Rolle. What an honor and a privilege to be on this channel, on this medium, and just to be able to have a wonderful conversation with you. I want to greet all of the great people of the Bahamas, and what a joy to connect with all of you. Thank you so much. And my name is Madison Gafisen. I'm a son of Africa. I come precisely from Cameroon in Central Africa, and that's where I was born and where I began life, even though today, for the last 18, almost 19 years, I have lived and worked in the United States of America. So I am a university professor at Palm Beach Atlantic University. I also am a leader. I am the president of Lead Missions International. I'm also a family man, so I'm a husband and a father. So in all, I always look at myself as a leader who leads in my own life, who leads in my family, who leads in my community, who leads in my nation and in the nations of the world. I look at myself at the core as a leader, but I'm a true son of Africa and a true lover of Africa. And everywhere I go, I must make that known, because I think that this is the continent to be. And I love that place. So I believe this is a good place to start.
Well, you would have no argument from us here in the Bahamas, right? For many reasons, and hopefully we get to talk a little bit about that before the day is out, because I do believe that we're in a moment of shiftings in some way, and not for you to comment on that now. But you're not gonna get an argument for us. I do think that here in the Bahamas, and indeed yesterday we had the privilege of having Dr. Luke on. And so part of the conversation is a reset conversation, and definitely Africa is critical to that kind of conversation.
Yes.
I understand you're coming to the Bahamas soon. Well, what is that about?
Well, I'm coming to the Bahamas, and I'll be there next Sunday. So the Bahamas has a very serious significance in my personal life.
Mhm.
It was in 1994 when I was, I think, a second year student doing my bachelor's in my university in Cameroon, that I listened or I watched a VHS tape of
Wow.
Dr. Miles Monroe.
Wow.
And at that time in my life, I just turned my life over to Jesus. So I turned over my life to Jesus when I was 19 years old. I was a high school student. And then it was just a few months afterwards, then I went to university. And
Wow.
1 year into my studies, I stumbled. Actually, I just was visiting a friend, and then it happened that they were watching the video. So I watched my first video on Dr. Miles Monroe. And it was the first time that I understood about the power of purpose.
Wow.
And he said that, you and me are not here to go to heaven, which was to me like, oh, really?
That's
Like,
blasphemy, right?
I've never heard that. Say, you were not saved to go to heaven. I said, what are you talking about? Who's this man? And then he says, no, if you were really saved to go to heaven, then immediately you give your life to Christ, then you are shipped straight away into heaven, because that is where you are meant to go.
Mhm.
So the reason why you are alive and you are here is because there is a purpose on your life. And for the next many years that you would live, you have to give yourself to fulfilling and achieving that God-given purpose over
Wow.
your life.
Wow.
I said, wow, I've never heard it said this way. And then it made sense to me. I like, really? It makes sense. It makes sense. So that would spark a thing that will last for my whole life until I go to my grave. I will never forget that, because that is when I launched my pursuit for purpose. And I remember Dr. Miles Monroe emphasizing on that tape on that day, and it says, if it takes you 30 years to look for that, seek for purpose and know it, then do it. Because after all, what would it gain? What would it profit you if you live all your life and die and never have to know that you were here on purpose and never have to fulfill your purpose? It's better that you search for it for the next 30 years, discover it, and leave it for 20 years at least, than to live all your life and never get to know what your purpose is. And then one of the things that really hit me on that day is, it said, the greatest tragedy is not death. He said the greatest tragedy is life
Wow.
without a purpose.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
And as a young man of 20 years old back then, I believe, it totally changed the trajectory of my life.
Wow.
For the next following 30 years, 32 years of my life, it will that very statement will haunt me. You know, the desire to pursue my purpose, the desire to search and discover that for which God has me here and to fulfill it. And I remember, years later on, I would listen to other things, other teachings that he gave, and I would listen to the concept of die empty. Jesus died and he said, "It is finished."
Yes, sir.
And
Yes.
so I began to live a life then that when life is done, I would say it is finished, because whatever he sent me to do, I did it. Whatever he sent me to say, I said it. Wherever he sent me to go, I went. And that has become the motto of my life, to really die empty. And so that's why the Bahamas is very special, because, and interestingly, by the time Dr. Miles Monroe passed, I was planning a trip to the Bahamas, and then I got the sad news, and I felt really sad, because not only he had affected my life, but the entire generation of young people in my country at that time. There is no serious young man in my country in my time, that doesn't know Dr. Miles Monroe. Even till date, you have people that can date their progress, can date their transformation to the moment that they got in touch with the material and the content and the message, Dr. Miles Monroe. Whether it's on the message on purpose or is that of the kingdom, it's been a thing that everyone in my generation and beyond, they have embraced it. And so being able to be in the Bahamas will be a very solemn moment for me, to be a very sacred moment for me, if you will, because I still have, I think that I even wonder, I really wonder if, the Bahamians really understand the profound power of this one gentleman, this man of God, and that God really released to the world. I believe that I have had the two biggest influences in my life. Dr. Miles Monroe was the very first at a mega level. That's why I probably is one of the people that I've read the most books of, from him, videos on YouTube and everything. I really am so grateful and thankful to him and the ministry that he carried out, the message that he taught and preached, and I am so grateful. So being in the Bahamas on Sunday will be a very profound moment to me. Honestly, I just believe that something that sprung from the Bahamas traveled maybe 8,000 to 10,000 miles to my little town in the grasslands of Central Africa. I mean, how can you beat that? So I thank God for this great man.
Well, and I'm saying this particularly with yesterday's conversation in mind, and I do believe God is not confused in terms of how these conversations are being had. I do believe we are in a moment when we have to look back before we go forward, and that's an important, and I'm happy that you took the time out to share your story. Persons who are listening there have the benefit of hearing in real time the impact, the effect of Dr. Miles Monroe displaced, and he did not go alone. By that I mean he carried the weight of the nation on his shoulder. He spoke about this nation in very intentional and profound. And you'll get the equally share your story in that way, but something that Dr. Luke said yesterday, whom you also was following in some way. So I do believe that something is happening that allows us to use as a reference point the ministry, the message, the purpose of a Dr. Miles to measure where we are as nation. And forgive me if I say it in this way, particularly as third world Black leadership, because as we undergo these challenges, I believe it is critical that our race, so to speak, emerge with certain eyes, emerge with a sense of where we are globally, so that we can continue the legacy that was passed on to us. Because as you mentioned, his was about the advancement of the kingdom. So he sort of spoke about the Bahamas in that context. Professor, take some time to share your sojourn, because you said you grab a hold of this purpose and that took you into a certain place deliberately, intentionally. Leadership is a part of your drive. Take us into, if give us a bird's eye view in terms of what became of your life to bring you to this point, whether it be as a professor, whether it be as the work that you're doing, and we'll get a chance to talk about that as well.
Thank you very much. One of the things, so I said at the age of 19, I turned my heart to Christ. I become a follower and a believer of Christ. And then I go to the university. So I am very passionate. I am with other young people my age that are seeking to see God glorified in a nation that was vastly, under evangelized. A lot of religion, but very little, commitment to Jesus Christ. And so in the university, then I get to watch this VHS tape. Like I said, I literally have never heard someone speak like that. You know how in the scriptures it says that when Jesus spoke, they said, never man spoke.
Never, absolutely.
They send some guys to come and arrest him, and the guys come and they make the mistake of listening before arresting instead of arresting before listening. and then they say, well, have you guys become his disciples too? So I listened to this, and it transformed my life, and it helped me to transform my generation, I would say. Because when I heard that, then I started, my first step was, so then what is my purpose? So then why am I here? Because Dr. Miles Monroe always talked about that. He says, that there are things that you need to know. Who am I? It's a question of identity. Why am I here? It's a question of purpose. What is it that I can do? It's a question of, talent and all of that. What you can service that we offer to our world. Where is it that I'm going from here? It's a question of destiny. It's a question of what is it that lies ahead. And so I began to ask those questions myself, and began now to discover the reason why I am there. And the more I became a disciple and a follower of Jesus, then I understood then that, not only are we called to, be followers of Jesus Christ, but disciples ought to be leaders, taking the lead and becoming involved in the purpose that God has called them to be involved in. So in 1997, I became part of a national youth movement in my country called Cameroon Youth for Jesus. Now, and after just about 3 years or so, the first year I entered, I became part of the national leadership, and in a few years I became at the helm of the organization. So we were holding mass evangelism crusades around the country, from province to province. We were on TV, we were on radio. I mean, young people, it's not like we had any special knowledge, but we were just truly converted, truly born again, and we wanted to see the kingdom spread. And we came from different denominations. We came from maybe about over 50 denominations of our country. And we didn't even care for denomination, right? It was always about the kingdom. So no doubt, you see Dr. Miles Monroe's message on the kingdom resonated a lot with some of us because, like, it's not about, being Presbyterian, Baptist, Pentecostal, charismatic. It was really about being in a place where you know why you were called in the kingdom and being able to take hold of what the kingdom had to offer. So it was in that ministry that I actually grew, and I actually came to a place where I was leading a national movement of young people around the country, doing great things around the country. Now, but I noticed that as we were speaking and preaching in all of these massive evangelistic crusades with thousands and thousands of people, that when young people were saved, it was just young people that were saved.
Mhm.
And some of us, in my generation, we were the people who preached to our parents. So
Mhm.
all of us, our parents heard the gospel from us in my
Wow.
generation, because we were like the first wave of a real revival that swept through our nation.
Mhm.
And we were really persecuted. We were beaten. We were
Wow.
my family, they actually renounced me and say, well, you don't belong to this family. And my uncle, who was the one who was taking care of me at the time, just said, you know what, since you love Jesus so much, Jesus will take care of your tuition and all of that, because I'm not going to be a part of that. And but that's what we went through. We went through a lot of persecution in the entire nation, because they didn't just understand. They said, but why there are pastors, there are people who have gone to seminary. You guys should not be, you didn't go to seminary. We didn't see you in the seminary. And if you really want to be what you guys are claiming to be, then go to the seminary. But otherwise, don't try to preach from the Bible. Don't try to tell us, we bought for you the Bibles that you are using to preach. Don't try to preach on us and all of that.
Wow.
But we held our ground. We held our ground, and we started leading a movement of young people, solid young people, that wanted to see transformation, in the lives of other Cameroonians and other people in the nation. Now, during that time, we had thousands of people come, even some of the people that were cabinet ministers in the government of our nation, through our crusades. Now, but during that time, as I watched what was going on, I started seeing that when young people get saved, other young people get saved.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe their parents get saved. But I noticed that it was like an uphill task, because young people get saved and they are talking to these established older people, and they are asking themselves, like, what can a 19-year-old tell me, like, about God and all of that?
Yeah.
So I started to nurse a passion for leadership, and not only leadership, but to become an ambassador, or, if you will, somebody that is sent to really reach out to leaders.
Yes.
And I really thank God for a statesman in our nation at that time. He had been a cabinet minister. One day he called me into his office. I was still a young man. And he not only he just loved me, but he began to expose me to leadership. And he told us back in the day, we didn't even know what that meant. He said to us, if you want to see anyone in this nation, including the president, I can make you meet them. It's as long as it's for the sake of the gospel. Whatever
Wow.
you want, I will make it happen. And then back in the day, we're like, oh my God, young people as we were, like, what are we doing with the president? Well, what would we be doing with a minister of cabinet? What would we be doing with a senator? Like, we didn't even feel like that was our place. But when he passed away, and long after that, it dawned on me that this gentleman was introducing me to where I would be, and what was really my rightful place, which was to be an influencer to influencers, which was to be a leader that helps to lead in a nation. And so years afterwards, I would never forget those words. And then I would leave and come to the US. I came to the US really, I just felt like this because I wanted to receive some kind of exposure, some kind of training, and all of that. And so after my time being in the US, doing my master's degree, doing my PhD, starting my work as an assistant professor, I remembered why I came here in the very first place, which I know that it was to put me in a place where I can be an effective tool to reach my country and to reach especially other developing countries in Africa.
Yeah.
So 9 years ago, my wife and I started an organization called Lead Missions International, and it's a leadership development organization that focuses on especially the developing countries of the world. You know, today we have trained over 35,000 people from 55 countries of the world and counting, but Africa and developing countries remain our prime, target. When I look at Africa,
Mhm.
and when I look at countries or that harbor the most of people of African descent, I see that the number one problem that we have is leadership.
Wow.
My mentor, Mr. John Maxwell, says everything rises and falls on leadership. Nations rise because of leadership. Families rise because of leadership. Personal lives rise because of leadership. And when I look at Africa, Africa is not lacking in resources.
No.
We are 1.5 billion strong. We sit on 30% of the world's natural resources, Africa alone. We have brains. We have people. Africa sits on the greatest number of youthful population in the world.
Wow.
I don't know if you know this, but 60% of Africa is 25 years old and below.
Wow. Wow.
There is no continent like that. So Africa is the continent of the future. In fact, the UN statistics have showed that in 2050, 1 of every 4 people in the world will be an African. So if I were anybody that was looking in the future, I want to be an African if I were not. Because 1 of every 4 people in the world would be an African. Remember this, it doesn't say of African descent, an African. So that means that when you add the population in the diaspora, now we are talking we are talking much more than that. So it is the continent of the future. So it doesn't lack natural resources. It doesn't lack brains. It doesn't lack the prospects of growth in the future. I believe that what Africa lacks is leadership. It's
Professor Madison, and that's kind of almost defined where we are, right? That the search for leadership. We see this playing out almost globally. You are a professor in a country where it's hard to turn on your television and not be impacted or affected one way or the other, whether it be the tariffs negotiation that is going on, whether it be the immigration challenges that are going on, and we're feeling the pinch of that beyond just the US because of what is happening there. You have opportunities to go in office of governments. You have opportunities to engage at that level. What kind of conversation that you having had the purpose-driven life, have a kingdom lens, what do you communicate within those spaces if given an opportunity? And given the similarity between some of these nations that you go through, what is it even the Bahamas can be beneficiary of from your vantage point in terms of identifying the moment, but also taking the necessary transitional steps to bring about the kind of meaningful change if our nation are going to fulfill its maximum potential?
I like what you just, the question that you asked, because that has been probably one of the central themes of my life, which is that personal leadership is the starting point for all other forms of leadership. So when I'm in these spaces, and I remember, being with my own prime minister in a dicey situation in my country a couple years ago, and we were sitting together. We were having a leadership seminar, sitting with his cabinet and some of the people that he leads. And so they were, challenging me, when, with what our country is going through, what can we do? What do you see as the pathway forward? And for me, it was a no-brainer. Michael Jackson says, I'm talking to the man in the mirror.
Yes, sir.
I'm asking him to change his ways.
Mm.
And I said, we don't need to go no further. The question is, what have you done for your country lately?
Mm.
What have you done to change the trajectory of things? Because when I came into that meeting, all of those people were gathered and they were saying, well, these guys are causing trouble. The other ones are causing trouble right there. These other ones are causing trouble right there. I said, you know what? While we are in this room, we don't have control for the guy who is causing trouble over there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We don't know about the other one on the other side.
Yes, sir.
But who I know and who I can trust that can hear me and that we are all here together is you and it is me. The
Yes, sir.
question is, what have you done about it? The question is, what am I doing about it?
Mhm.
So let's stop the blame game.
Yes, sir.
Let's look face to face with the reality of who we are. We came here on purpose. If we call ourselves leaders of a nation, if we call ourselves leaders of this nation, then we better lead. Painters paint, teachers teach. What
Yes,
the
sir.
heck do leaders do?
Yes, sir.
Leaders should be leading.
Yes, sir.
My mentor, Dr. John Maxwell, says, if you think you are leading and then you turn and look behind and nobody is following, you are just taking a walk. We have a whole bunch of walkers around calling themselves leaders because they are not worthy of any following. At the best, people follow them because their paychecks are on the line. That's
Yes.
the only reason why they
Wow.
even do anything close to them.
Mhm.
But they are not leaders. So when I get into these rooms, I say, my main thing is, if you cannot lead you, then leave the rest of us alone. We'll
Wow.
figure it out.
Wow. Wow.
The heart of true leadership is personal leadership.
Yes, sir.
How can you get up every day and tell yourself what you have to do for the betterment of you, your family, your profession, your business, your calling, your society, your community, your nation?
Yes,
When
sir.
you get up every morning, what did you do this morning that will help the Bahamas become the great nation it's supposed to be? What did you do this morning that will help your community become the community that it should be? What did you do this morning to make your world a little better than it was yesterday? And if your answer is not clear, succinct, and that which people can understand in a practical way, then you are part of the problem. You are
Wow.
part of the problem. There are only three kinds of people in the world: those who make things happen,
Yes, sir.
those who watch things happen, and those who don't know what is happening.
Mhm.
So I believe that leaders, and believe that each one of us has been called to be a make happener. We have been called.
And when we talk about this idea of leadership, certainly you're not in the political space in some of the third world countries, if we could put it in that way. It almost seems as if we have expectation for all of our problems to be solved solely within the context of the political space. How do you challenge other institutions, other pillars of nation building to say, hey, if one area is deficient, or even if it isn't, we are better served when each of us begin to do our part, whether it be the church, the educators, the business community. How do we get to the sense to say all of us have a stake in what it looks like in terms of the development of our nation?
This is very interesting that you said that. I think two years ago, I was sitting with a government minister in my country. One of the top government ministers in my country, and I was telling him, I was saying, hey, Mr. Minister, in the next few days, we will be taking up space in one of the big auditoriums in this country to talk about leadership. And so he turned and asked me, I said, Madison, like who will be coming to your meetings? Because some of us are busy, a little bit busy, we can't come, and all of that. And so who will be coming there? So I said, Mr. Minister, you see what you just said is what we want to dismiss from this country.
Yes, sir.
Very, very soon and never return to it.
Yes,
it is
sir.
this notion that, the minister is the leader.
Yes, sir.
It is this notion that if you don't have political power, then you are not a leader. So you are supposed to be, out of the space and wait for some of, say, we are teaching every Cameroonian that at the least you are the captain of your own destiny.
Yes,
and you
sir.
have to rise up for yourself, because no one is coming to feed your family. No government is coming to feed your family. No government is coming to make sure that you educate your children. And so we are teaching Cameroonians that, we cannot look to politics for solutions. We have to begin to look for solutions within ourselves and look for what we can do. Hopefully the government, some of you help the rest of us. But if you don't come, we are not going to be watching and waiting for you guys to come and save us. We have discovered we are 50 years from independence. We have discovered that the government does not save. We have discovered that politics does not, it works for those that are politicians. We have come to discover that we have to take education into our hands. We have discovered that we have to take the healthcare sector into our hands. If you guys kind of maybe see us doing that and you think you can help, you may help. But we are teaching Cameroonians that leadership is in their hands.
Yes,
I'm not looking for somebody to come and feed my boys and my girl. I'm not looking for somebody to come and give a handout to whatever. So I am good. We are teaching people to take the lead, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in technology, in an entrepreneurship. We will do what we can. And if you guys meet us along the way, and if you guys feel like you want to help us, then good. But we are not going to stand there lazing in and watching you, tell your wonderful speeches and do nothing and expect that the rest of us will stand and wait and call you leaders. Who are you leading, by the way?
Yes, sir.
Who are you really leading?
Yes, sir.
People, you are at the top alone. You have been at the top for all of these years. One of my friends, I was listening to one of my friends yesterday, and he said, if you are at the top alone, you are not a leader, you are just a hiker. We have several hikers across the world, especially in the developing countries. But it's a time we are, in fact, I am part of a generation, and this is what we are doing in my country, in Cameroon. I'm part of a generation that is telling all the Cameroonians, and they said, you know what? You and me are the leaders.
Yes,
Forget
sir.
about those people. If they want to be leaders, they can. But they have had 50 years from independence for most African countries, and they have done nothing. So I'm not going to wait for somebody. If 50 years, if you can't do anything for 50 years, there's no sense or promise that you're going to do it now for the next 100 years. So the rest of us, if we thought we were not leaders, then this is the time to begin to build yourself and become a leader, because help is not coming your way anywhere soon from the political realms, if you will.
Yeah.
Even in the biggest countries like America, we are living in the saddest time in history when it comes to leadership. If you would permit me saying that, because even America is not the leader that we thought and dreamt it would be. When you see what is going on in the politics of America, this is nonsense. I'm sorry for using that word, but this is nothing like this. It sounds nothing like, it looks nothing like, it smells nothing like leadership. So this is where people have to take responsibility and say, I am the captain of my ship.
Professor, and these conversations are hard, but they are a necessary conversation. You shared your own Cameroon experience, having gone through 50 years. It seems as if the Bahamas and Cameroon are twins in that way. We only celebrated. I think we were trying to get you over from our Jubilee time, but you hit on something that I believe is an important part, that and perhaps this is an indictment in the context of the church, not to be critical, but for us to look at our own selves. We have not fully embraced. You talk about Dr. Miles, for an example. He was clear in terms of purpose, vision. That clarity gave you and I and others a sense of purpose. It seems we are not clear on what a leadership models look like. Therefore, it is easy for us to follow all sorts of things in the name of leadership simply because it is a position. Can you talk to us in the context of church and the responsibility to have a proper perspective foundation on what that looks like, so that we are not deceived into following a whole bunch of other stuff that does not play out in the context of true, genuine leadership?
You know, if there was any group of people in the world where things should be different, it should be the church.
Yes, sir.
Why? Because we have the greatest leader of all times. We have a model that was set there for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have a man who was born for the reason that he might show us what true leadership is.
Yes, sir.
That a leader leaves his high estate. He stoops down to the level of the people.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And he serves them into their greatness.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When he has set them up for success, he bows down and he says, well, I can go.
Wow. Wow.
The church has this for an example. There is no example than this. Jesus says, I am the good shepherd.
Yes, sir.
It says the other ones that you had before, they were hirelings. That's why when they see the wolf coming against the sheep, they run away, because they were not a shepherd in the first place. But the church has got Jesus for an example. Paul said, follow me even as I follow the Christ. So we were left an example. We were left with a model, except we have abandoned the model. And
Wow.
Jesus was very clear. He said, you know, my kingdom is not of this world.
Yes, sir.
He says, I come with a kingdom that is not the kingdom in this world.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But
Sir.
he said for us to pray that the kingdom of God may come to bear in the kingdom of men.
Yes, sir.
Kingdom
Yes.
of this world.
Yes, sir.
But I think that as a church, we have forfeited our responsibility, because it's either we have been so busy with our nice, sweet organization, we come and do our little prayer, and then we do our little singing, and we do our little preaching, and we get excited about it, then we dance around the church, and then we go home and nothing changes. When you really look at leadership from Jesus' standpoint and read the Gospels and just follow Jesus and see him, you know, on the shores of Galilee, you know, see him around the tax collector's booth where he got Matthew, see him passing by, you know, Luke's, street, you know, where he got him.
Yes, sir.
And all of that. When you look at Jesus, there is no suggestion that he was a man given to a religion. You know, he led an entire movement
Yes,
that
sir.
taught fishermen and doctors and, you know, and tax collectors and sinners and prostitutes. And so he led an organization that touched every facet of
Yes,
society,
sir. Yes, sir.
including the religious circles.
Yes, sir.
A man by the name of Nicodemus came to him by night and said, sir, you should come from God, because no one can do the things that you do. We religious people, we've been studying you. We've looked in the scriptures. We've read the Torah, but there's something that you are doing here. How can I get into this kingdom? How can I get into this thing? And Jesus looks at him and says, you are a great teacher in Israel and you don't know? But that except a man be born again, he cannot even see the kingdom of God. And so Jesus left for us an example. He left for us an example that says that Christianity is, primarily, we call it Christianity. It never was called Christianity back then, but but to use the term we are familiar with, Christianity was never about really a religion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Christianity was about a spiritual kingdom having to invade this physical earthly kingdom.
Professor, I don't even know if I do this a justice by saying we're near the end. Are you free tomorrow morning, if only for half an hour? If
Yes, I can be free tomorrow.
Okay, all right, okay. If you are, then let's see if we could pick this up tomorrow. I don't want to leave it hanging. Let's see if we could have this conversation, because I do think you got into a place where I believe this moment called for a paradigm shift. This moment calls for a Nicodemus experience in terms of born again, rebirth. And I do think voices like yours and others have to find a way to begin to communicate to even the religious sector, including all of us, that there is something more about this sojourn, this purpose, this destiny that we are called, if we are going to advance the right model of leadership, because I think the nations are hungry for it. We
Yes.
are whoring after something that I wonder how we got there. How can we look at certain things that is happening around the world, and then we promote that as the model of Christ leadership? So some disconnect is happening, and I do think we want to flesh it out. So I'll give you a time, and if we could finish this up tomorrow, even if I have to push back something, then I think we want to do that. And then you have to talk about our mission to Africa, Dr. Sharice. Professor is going to talk tomorrow also about next year, the mission to Africa. And I think he wants to give Bahamians an opportunity to be a part of that. And
Listen. That sounds like music to my ears. Repeat that again.
Professor has a mission to Africa that he just came off. That's why we just came on. And so he and I are having conversations about getting Bahamians to equally be a part of that mission. And so, Professor, if you can have morning break, which Dr. Sharice had, and morning grace as a part of that, then we could equally broadcast live from Cameroon next year.
Oh, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Hey, it's going to be what we call our All Africa Leadership Summit. So it's
Wow.
going to have delegates from all over Africa. Again, contrary to the popular notion, Africa is a continent. It's 54 solid countries. It's not a village.
So listen, persons listening, tune in tomorrow. If Dr. Sharice even could sneak us in 8:30 tomorrow, we'll try that. If not, we'll at least have Professor for at least half an hour tomorrow, where we talk and dig a little bit further into this, and also have a conversation about this mission trip, how we can get involved, how we can listen, because I do believe, please hear me in this instance, where we see these global shiftings, as was mentioned, it's already projected that Africa is going to be a significant player in the context of where the next phase of the next journey is. And so I don't find next year's gathering a coincidence in terms of us pioneering and us leading. And so we'd be happy to be in the same room, in the same space, to hear what is going on. Thank you, Professor. You got 30 seconds, 1 minute. You want your final thoughts, and then we'll settle on how we have a conversation tomorrow.
You know what? Here's a thought I want to leave with everyone that is listening to us today. Almost every race in our current context has had its time in modern history. we all know that civilization started with us. We all know that it migrated to different places, and now it's in the West. But I believe that a time is coming, and now is the time, that African people of Black descent have to rise up and really embrace that which is rightfully, theirs, and to shine. And because I believe that it is the time. And I believe that as the Church of God, we have to be even more hopeful than every other group of persons in the whole wide world. It was Isaiah who prophesied and said, "Arise, shine, your light has come," talking about Jesus. It says, "And the glory of the Lord is risen upon you." It says, "Darkness shall be upon the earth, gross darkness upon its people, but for you I will arise upon you, and my glory shall be seen on you." And he said, "Gentiles will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising." I believe that it is the time for us, for you and me, to arise and to take our place in everywhere that God has planted us, whether it's in government, it's in education, it's in healthcare, it's in entertainment, wherever it is. Plant yourself there and occupy and become a force for good to bring about a change in our world that we are anticipating and looking forward to.
We're smack out of time. We look forward to it. Professor, I'll get back to you. And hey, if you listen today, tell them tomorrow, God's will, and we'll continue this conversation. This is Inspiration 107.9 FM, Morning Grace, your truly Ambassador Rolle. Dr. Sharice, back to you. Thank you so much, Professor, for engaging us in such a rich dialogue today. God bless. Have a great day, everybody.
The Bahamas and the Caribbean will come together to celebrate the 29th anniversary of the Caribbean Gospel Music Marlin Awards. Sunday, July 27th at the